Peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. I'm just burning a minute trying to see if they're gonna put out some quotes and photos from tonight's Ring City USA card in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Um, I thought it was a pretty good card, man, and I really like what I really dig what Ring City is doing. I can't imagine, what it takes to kind of pull this off. This was their third show from Puerto Rico. They were kind of pitting Mexico versus Puerto Rico throughout these three shows. They had that same theme tonight with the Baez brothers, the Baez twins. They went 1-1. Leonardo Baez was stopped by Carlos Caraballo. I think those guys were super bantamweights, 122-pound fighters. The older brother, Eduardo Baez, beat Ambial Ortiz, I believe was the guy's name, in a pretty solid fight. It was kind of interesting to notice or to note that both of those the Baez twins were in camp recently with Chocolatito Gonzalez, and one of the brothers, Eduardo, his fighting style, the way that he fought tonight, kind of resembled Chocolatito a little bit. And you can see, I guess, and I was on this conference call yesterday with Chocolatito. Or was that Tuesday? It might have been Tuesday. But the biggest thing that Chocolatito said, the biggest tip or whatever that he imparted to the twins was the importance of conditioning, and I think that probably is a signature aspect of Chocolatito, especially when he's on. I was always impressed with Chocolatito's work rate, and to see Eduardo kind of pull it off to a degree. I was impressed with his fight. There was some other action that was on the on Twitch. It started a little early though. I mean, it was 5 o'clock Eastern time when that part of the card started. But they had 4 or 5 fights over there. I was checking them out. I'm trying to think which one kind of. It was this Sanchez and Pino fight that was pretty decent. Um, there was another women's bout on there that wasn't too bad. The one kid that was impressive tonight, though, besides the performance by Amanda Serrano, was this Carlos Caraballo kid. Yeah, 122 pounds. He was 14-0. Actually, he was 13-0 going in against Leonardo Baez, and just remain poised. Baez was trying to walking down and punishing, pressuring, make some mistakes and whatnot. But the kid was he remained poised, was able to fight off the back foot, didn't fight Baez's fight, didn't waste a lot of punches, just stayed with this technique and set up some counter shots. Has a pretty good left hand. I mean, he was hitting him with left uppercuts and left hooks that were affecting Leonardo, and I don't know why he didn't. I don't know why Leonardo didn't abandon what the hell he was trying to do, because he was made to pay for it, and he got dropped in the second round off of I thought it was two left uppercuts and then a left hook, maybe a hybrid uppercut left hook. I thought it was more of a hook, but took three of them in a row and was dropped. He got up, he did look over at his corner and let him know that he was good, and he was willing to continue and whatnot. But he finished the round getting beat up by Caraballo, who was like I said, just a poised dude, just remained composed, didn't overexert himself, do anything reckless to let Baez back into it. And then in the fourth round, in the third round, Baez kind of came out, but he was even in the second round. Baez was swinging recklessly and trying to force the issue, and just was setting himself up to get picked apart, by a pretty hard hit guy. So that fight was pretty interesting. In the fourth round, Caraballo just started taking him apart. He was hurt most of that round, and I thought the referee was gonna stop it, but he kind of let it go on. And then Caraballo just started really just landing clean shots. He was defenseless, unable to defend himself, and the his corner threw the towel in, ending the fight. In the main event, 7 division champion Amanda Serrano, she just outclassed the Argentine Daniela Bermudez. I think Bermudez, she's like number 7 in rings pound for pound list right now. She was a unified champion, I believe at bantamweight or super bantamweight maybe. Came up to featherweight to face WBC and WBO featherweight champion Amanda Serrano. I thought it was a pretty good fight, man. Again, I'm starting to change my I'm starting to change my opinion on the whole 3-minute rounds is needed for the women to be able to show their power. If you know how to set it up, if you know how to time, if you got timing, you can execute it, and you have power, you can make it happen. And it was a beautiful. Serrano can box, man. I mean, she can flat out box. I mentioned earlier, I don't agree with her being under one below Jessica McCaskill. McCaskill was a unified 140-pound champion. She just finished her second victory over Cecilia Brækhus, which makes her the undisputed welterweight champion. I get it. But there was a bout in there, maybe 2 fights back, maybe 3 fights back, where McCaskill, I thought, kind of got a bit of a gift in a decision. But just skill for skill, eye test, Serrano is, Katie Taylor is number 1. Claressa Shields is number 2. I wouldn't be mad if Amanda Serrano was number 1. But she's missed some times. She's been inactive here and there. She's jumped around. I think they said in 2018 was when she jumped around and won those 7 divisions or titles in those 7 divisions and whatnot. She also had 2 mixed martial arts MMA fights. So it is what it is. The one thing that we don't talk about a lot is the fact that we lost, due to COVID, we lost the showdown between Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor at the top of the year. I think they were going to fight, maybe it was set up to go off in May. I think it might have been May. Might have been before that. But they couldn't agree to, once COVID shut everything down, they tried to do something, and Eddie Hearn pulled back the money. He lowered the money, and then there was some other complications. I heard Lou DiBella talking about. Basically, it just became too much that Amanda Serrano was giving away too much for what she could gain, and so she passed on the fight. But she looked good tonight, man. I mean, she can box, she can jab. She remains poised. She has power in both hands. It was a left right. It was a pair of left right. It was left right hooks to the body that in the ninth round that just well executed. She could stand in there and kind of with some upper body movement avoid the shots that were coming at her, and landed the left right hook to the body. As Bermudez was punching, she didn't see him, and she felt him. And it was a bit of a delayed reaction. She backed away, backed out, turned her back to Serrano, and you know, just lost all control of her body. She was in pain. She couldn't get up. She signaled to her corner and to the ref that she wasn't going to be able to get up to continue, and it is what it is. I thought it was a pretty good fight, man. Her corner, her chief second and manager, Jordan Maldonado, I guess he yelled at the referee in the seventh round about his fighter being or Bermudez being allowed to hit his fighter in the back of the head, and he was escorted from ringside and put out. And Maldonado is kind of a hothead anyway. I've seen him in a couple of bouts, and quite a few bouts. Just an emotional guy, energetic guy, brash dude, and he was still yelling instructions from this ramp area that was out there. So it was a bit crazy. But shout out to Amanda Serrano for just being a dominant boxer. I was impressed by Bermudez. She walked forward. She came forward and tried to force the issue. She was not the most graceful mover. She fought a bit. She was a bit stiff. Not all of her punching technique was the greatest at times, but I mean, she mixed it up. She took some good shots. She took some flush shots through the first three rounds, but she was head hunting. I thought maybe she could have went to the body a little bit more. She had the longer reach. I think she might have been an inch taller, a half inch taller or something. But she went to the body. I mean, she went to the head almost exclusively. And she was just getting picked apart. Serrano was using her jab, head movement, slipping, make her miss, make her pay. Just being outclassed. But, when she could close the distance and punch with her free hand, or just mix it up, I thought she was on her way to at least finishing the fight. But she was behind. She hadn't won a round on any of the three cards. She was down 80-72 or something when it was stopped. But I thought, like I said, man, I thought she put forth a good effort. She took some good shots and didn't quit. She just didn't have any way to really impose her will on the fight, and that's kind of the problem with fighting Amanda Serrano. It'll be interesting. I guess Katie Taylor is already on the schedule, I think, with another opponent. But it'll be dope if once we get through into the restarted schedule, that they revisit that fight. I'd much rather see Serrano and Katie Taylor over a rematch between Katie Taylor and Jessica McCaskill. No disrespect to McCaskill whatsoever. And highly unlikely that you would go undisputed 147 versus Serrano when you can go undisputed. I'm sorry, when you could go 140 undisputed in Katie Taylor against undisputed 147 in McCaskill. You would probably take the magnitude of that fight with all the titles involved and two undisputed champions. You would probably go that route over Serrano, who is not, who's not signed with Matchroom and whatnot. So that's probably how that would play out. We would get Taylor McCaskill before we would get Taylor and Serrano. There's also the other unified champion at featherweight, Elena Marjanovic. That's another fight that Ring City was working on. So we'll see if they try to bring that back. Another interesting note is I believe it's April 8th, maybe April 10th. But they have Charles Conwell and Ivan Golub coming up. That's dope. That's a great fight, especially for Charles Conwell. Dope to see, the former Olympian. I was wondering, he fought 3 times last year in the COVID affected year, and I was wondering, it's already March, and he didn't have a fight, but he's back up, so that'll be dope for him. Also, in terms of Ohio boxers, I saw the announcement earlier. Come on, man, you gonna send this picture, this shit out or what? I saw earlier today on the trying to think what fight that was. Damn, my brain ain't that sharp. Anyway, fellow Ohioan out of Trotwood, Ohio, former Mayweather Promotions fighter Christopher Pearson. He's gonna fight the Gorgon. Man, I have to find my man's name. Not Santiago doesn't sound right. Can't never find shit when you need it. Oh, Gongora. Carlos Gongora. The IBO super middleweight champion. He'll be defending his title against Christopher Pearson. That's on, Andre and Liam Williams. So that's April 17th at Hard Rock Casino in Hollywood, Florida. Shout out to Chris Pearson on making it back. The brother's coming back from a car accident. And shout out to Carlos Gongora, man, who shouldn't be overlooked. He came out and had the 12th round knockout of Ali Akhmedov back in December. That was a pretty good fight on the Triple G and Zara Meta card. The dude didn't look like a world beater. We make fun of the guys with without the flashy trunks and so on and so forth. Nobody knew this cat out of Ecuador. And he just came in. I think he got knocked down once or twice. He was getting beat up a little bit early on, but weathered the storm and then came back and beat the hell out of Akhmedov. So shout out to that fight when it comes out April 17th. Again, that's Carlos Gongora against Ohio's Christopher Pearson. I'm a little concerned about Pearson being up at super middleweight. I liked him making his way back down to at middleweight. I thought he was better, but it's worked for the guy. So that's that. Man, like I said, I was just on here trying to see if my man was gonna send these photos out so I could post this article. They pissed me off because the weigh-in pictures were out there, and I opened it up. I was just gonna throw the weigh-in picture of Amanda Serrano in here for my image, and they deleted it for some damn reason. And I don't think I have any Amanda Serrano pictures on any of my hard drive, so I'm sitting here waiting. Anyway, man, let me get on out of here. Bite down boxing, don't let them count you out. Shout out to Ring City, USA, man. Another good night of boxing. Boxing kind of at its purest. Shout out to the people of Puerto Rico showing out there in the I don't know if that's a turnaround or the city center or whatever the hell that was in San Juan, and supporting the fighters, supporting the event. Shout out to Sean Porter. They said he tested positive for COVID and did not get to participate on the wasn't on the call tonight. Was stuck in the hotel room after testing positive. So hopefully that doesn't affect him fighting in the future whenever he does make it back to the ring. Shout out to Sanisa Estrada. She sat in on the call with there being a couple of women's fights on there, women in the main event. I thought it was great exposure for her coming off of her victory over the weekend over what was her name? Ortiz. I can Man, it's hard to remember the losers. No disrespect to her. What was her name? Long time champion too. I wasn't all that familiar with her, but I thought it was a good fight. But good exposure for Sinisa Estrada. Uh, and then they had Ivan Calderon was in there. He was calling the fights too. Sitting in for Sean Porter. So like I said, man, I'm a big fan of Ring City and what they're trying to do, and knowing that they have a great fight coming up again with Charles Conwell and Ivan Golub, that's good money. So shout out to them. Like I always ended, man, for Pay Me No Mind Sports and Entertainment, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. One.